Now it is time for Previously on the Brooklyn Nets.
I know my post-ups are negotiable, but I think 4.5 works, like 8.
I mean, we negotiated. I thought we was going to do 2.5 or 2.5 post-ups a game. The half one is like I throw you the ball in the post and you just throw it right back out to me.
On paper, the Nets should be right in the mix for being a contender.
But this is all dependent on Kevin and Kyrie being healthy.
Steve Nash news hit the media like a bombshell kind of out of nowhere.
How did you hear, Spence?
Well, we're just sharing breaking news, and you kind of just, it's law once they say it.
It's been something that I've thought about in the back of my mind and gained momentum with that thought that it's time for me to step out and take a challenge.
He definitely brings attributes and traits that I think are unique to this situation.
I can't help but compare Steve Nash to Steve Kerr, another guy who came in without coaching experience, although I guess Steve Nash was probably a little better player.
Kevin Durant returning to action last night. Man, this was so great. First time since tearing his Achilles in Game 5 of the 2019 Finals.
It will take him a while to truly feel back in his own body. He's on a new team with a new coach, and that will also be an adjustment.
I think it's realistic to think 90% of his old self, maybe better as the season goes on. And that's an all-NBA player. I mean, that's how good Kevin Durant is.
And he's ready to address the NBA like the numbers on the house.
We now welcome in NBA reporter Malika Andrews. Welcome, my friend. You will be covering the Nets this season for ESPN. And Malika, you heard the cliffhanger heading into this season, the long-awaited debut of Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving on the court together. You just heard Zach Lowe say 90%. What are your expectations for year one of the KD and Kyrie show?
I mean, they're high because this organization's expectations of themselves are high, Rachel. We hear these guys talk about, well, we don't want to put too much pressure on ourselves. Well, we don't want to say we're all coming back and we're out here to win it and take over the East. But at the same time, when I talk to folks around that team, they say they know. They know what they're going for. They know that not making an Eastern Conference Finals appearance, as high as those standards may be, that is already what's expected of them, and it's what they're expecting of themselves. So, yeah, I expect that of them.
So my thing is everybody has expectations for this team. I think when you really break it down, if you were to compare it to Clippers, you have all of this new talent coming together, and they have all of the ability. They have a great bench. They have a great staff. I actually love the staff that Steve Kerr has brought in, right? He's brought in other players. Steve Nash. He's brought in other players. He brought in D'Antoni. So he's got a great staff there to help him navigate the first-year coaching. But I think this is kind of like the Clippers, where it's like they need to develop their chemistry, and it's not like championship or bust. I think the Clippers put too much pressure on themselves, and I think when they failed, that pressure fell on them too. Right. So I think the Nets are just going to take it easy. I don't think they have to win a championship for this year to be successful.
Well, when you add arguably the best player in the league to your roster, it's always going to be championship or bust. Now, if Kevin Durant can play at an MVP level, top 5, top 3, then this team has a chance to get to the finals. These are the expectations that come with a superstar like Kevin Durant. And then you have Kyrie Irving in his own right. He's a superstar who's won a championship. That's always how it's going to be. LeBron goes somewhere, KD goes somewhere. Expectations are championship.
Well, speaking of Kyrie, all eyes are going to be on him tonight because it's just preseason, but it's his first game back in Boston. Remember, he didn't play when the Nets visited there last year. So, Malika, is there any bad blood left on the Celtics side after Kyrie's free agency departure a couple seasons ago?
Well, when you ask them, they're going to say no, and they've done pretty well in their own right as Kyrie has departed, right? It's not like they've fallen off a cliff. So I think the Celtics are happy with where they're at. Brad Stevens has said repeatedly that he's happy with the way, things ended with Kyrie, with him moving on. I think it's Celtics fans, right, that are still kind of hanging on to that a little bit, and potentially rightfully so, right? Kyrie Irving sat in front of them and said that he intended to re-sign, and then that didn't happen. That's the business of basketball. But I was at that game in Boston last year, Rach, when Kyrie Irving did not play. And when I walked around the outside of TD Garden, there were literally posters of his face with the word coward printed over it. So I don't think this game tonight, even though it is just the preseason, is going to carry the same weight that it would have had there been fans in the building. I truly believe that if there were those folks there, they would let Kyrie know how they feel about not having him on the team anymore, and then about having him not have played last season. He was injured, he was dealing with that shoulder injury, but to the fans, that still stings a little bit. And there's a reason why this game is on Christmas Day, is also Boston Nets. It's because the league knows there's a little something there.
I don't know, Paul, do Celtics fans have long memories?
We hold grudges. We definitely hold grudges. And he would have got it. He would have got lit up if the fans were out there. And listen, this is going to continue every year until his career is over. Every time he comes to the Garden, if there's fans in there.